you need to click on the drop-down menu and select which group it is that you want to have access to that question. And I learned this the hard way when I started to get some very panicked emails, because for some strange reason, online students are awake at really odd hours. 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning is when they email, and they usually email with instructions saying, I want you to respond now. And you're thinking, no, not going to happen. It's way too early in the morning and I'm fast asleep. But anyway, you need to then pick what group you want that particular question to apply to. Because again, if you don't, they won't be able to see it. So it won't be visible when they log onto their screens and so on. So the first group, first point, at this stage, is just, let's try that again. Select your specific group in the drop-down menu, and then after that, you then can add what your question is going to be. So regarding what your question is going to be, so this is you now sort of filling in the rest of the information that opens up on that screen. You can actually type in the actual question, so put copy and paste and put the whole thing in there. Could look a bit messy, a bit chunky, and could scare the kids away. Or you can type in instructions about where they will find the question. So for example, the face-to-face students and the online students generally tend to be answering the same forum/tutorial questions on a weekly basis. So your instructions that you would put there would simply state that they should go back to the topic guide and answer the question with respect to, say, for example, the week 6 tutorial or something like that. Pretty straightforward. Another thing that you can also do is that you can create a link. So within that bit here, you would have information saying something along these lines, creating a link to the question. If you are going to go down the option of creating a link, I would suggest that you either open the entire subject page in another link, or make sure that you copy the link location, which is that one. Copy that one before you actually start trying to pose your question, because then you're going to lose everything if you're going backwards and forwards in between if you haven't saved. So with how you would create a link to the question, you simply go back to your original page that has all your topic information. Right-click on the tutorial question itself. So if you right-click on it, these are the options that come up. And then you want the final one at the bottom that just simply says copy link location. And all that does is just simply indicate when you copy the link location and you go back to your forum questions. If you come back here and paste, then it would paste just the URL. So if the students then click on that, it will then take them exactly to where the question is located. So it's kind of like for, I guess, students that are being really lazy and don't want to have to find it on their own. So that's taking spoon feeding to another level. But hey, could be another way that will make life easier for everybody involved. Okay, the other thing that you want to keep in mind about creating your question, so we're working our way through, the information that comes up on the screen for us, is you can select this option of send me email. So this is just after you've posed, the information about your question. What I found with that one was not when I was teaching online, but in my very first semester, somebody else was teaching online, and I was the face-to-face coordinator here at Emmons, and they were in Lothala. And what happened was, this person had just over 200 students that were taking the course online. And every time, so they'd obviously left it on send me email copies of posts to this forum. So every time someone posted something to the forum, because we were all listed as instructors in the course, we all got an email, even though it had nothing to do with what was going on over here and so on. So it can get a bit overwhelming if you're getting constant email updates that someone has now posted to the forum and this is what they've had to say. But you can select an option that, if you go through that drop-down menu over there, it just simply says, the second option is, I don't want copies of posts to this forum. So that's probably the recommended route to go, and then you can sort of go in at the end of the week and it can be like a Kinder surprise. And you open it and all these answers are waiting for you to mark it and so on and this. Now, coming to, so this is sort of like the the final step. Excuse me. So remember how earlier on we talked about the time? So not only did we have the date highlighted, but the time for when you wanted your forum post open and when you wanted it closed. When you create your question, the settings on the page don't give you a time. And it's important to know this particular point because, again, click enable if you want to change this around. If you have, say for example, your previous display start time is fine, but the display end is the one that's going to be crucial. So in our previous one, I think the display end was the 30th of September. So if you click the 30th of September here, what it does is at just after midnight, so 1 minute after midnight on the 30th of September, it will close. And the students won't be able to see the rest of the forum for that whole day, when it's still due during that time of the day. And again, you get a lot of panicked emails saying, did you change your mind? How can you do this? Why? You said it was going to be open until this time and so on. So you need to make sure that you go 1 day after. So if you go on the 1 day after, then it will go until, I think it's midnight or 12:01 of the next day or something along those lines. But at least it ensures that the students will still be able to access the forum discussion right up until the time that you had stipulated in the first one, when we created the shell for the forum discussion as well. So just keep that bit in mind. And then obviously your final step is to click on the post to forum. When you get to this stage, you're a genius because you have created your forum discussion. And not only have you created your forum discussion, you've also got the question that the students are going to reply or respond to. And then based on whatever information you see here, you then know how many have responded, and by simply clicking on that, you can then open up the entire discussion in one thread and work your way through whatever it is that the students have said.